Hey everyone, welcome to this weekly Sidereal Astrology forecast for the week of March 27th through April 2nd, 2023. All right, so this week we have essentially the first quarter moon of the lunar cycle, so it is a good week to start to challenge ourselves. We may come to the first challenges of the lunar month that started around early last week, but all in all, good to challenge ourselves as this can be the most constructive time of the lunar cycle. So that's going to be around Tuesday. Also around Tuesday, we do have Mercury, the planet of our minds and communications, going over expansive Jupiter. So a conjunction here, usually signifying some new beginnings. It could certainly have to do with anything involving how we're thinking, our perspective on life. Sometimes communication and correspondence matters, but nice to see that expansive Jupiter is in good contact to that part of our lives. Now this week we do have Mars trining up to Saturn. That's going to go exact on Thursday, but really for the whole week I think there's a good grounding energy available. I think there's a good link between our short-term needs, which is Mars, and our long-term view, which is Saturn. So good for patience, perseverance, discipline, especially in regards to taking action. And now that Mars is out of Taurus, there's certainly a lot more forward movement with goals and action-oriented things in our lives collectively. Also around Thursday, Venus will be over Uranus, so maybe some new and exciting things to connect with and in our relationships as well. So let's go and take a look at all of this here in more detail when we return. Alrighty, so here is the sky for this week. We're going to start first with Monday, March 27th. And as you can see here, we are using the visible sky, which you won't see in mainstream channels. And the reason is because they don't use the actual visible sky. So this is called true Sidereal Astrology. The signs are different. You'll notice a lot of the placements are different here. So if you are new, definitely check out that link down below for more information on true Sidereal Astrology. All right, so a little bit of a recap just to see where everything is coming into this week. We did have that new moon early last week, which was the beginning of the lunar cycle. Coming into this week, we should be starting to notice some momentum. In fact, the first half of this week should be really good for action, moving things forward, basically integrating the new energies of this lunar cycle. But all in all, it is about bringing in more peace into our life. So that's been the main theme and will continue to be the case while the Sun and Mercury are still transiting through more receptive Pisces. And so it's a good time to view life more through the soul lens of what's important to us spiritually and for our soul, and also thinking this way and maybe working with some of this spiritual or intuitive or imaginative kind of energy with Mercury here as well. But there is the fire, especially now that Mars is direct and out of Taurus, but Venus is also in Aries. So great time to be enjoying the more assertive, initiating, active qualities of life, especially when it comes to how we're relating with others. Naturally, there's just more of an assertive or direct or independent energy available to us when it comes to the things we enjoy in life and when it comes to relating with others. So that's still very much the case. Venus will go over Uranus this week, creating some new beginnings with that. We'll talk more about here in just a few minutes. But lastly, Mars has recently entered into Gemini. And so there is a much easier expression of, again, that fiery side of ourselves. Mars took a very long transit of Taurus last year and into early this year, but now as recently last week started to, and still is slowly going into more yang-oriented Gemini. So Gemini is the air energy of learning and being inquisitive. And so just naturally, it's a great time to use some of that fire towards learning, gaining information, and maybe some of that communication as well can be quite strong. But all in all, I think things slowly moving forward there when it comes to our initiatives and goals and action-oriented things in life. So in terms of the aspects, all in all, a lot of two main conjunctions. These are the black ones here: Mercury over Jupiter, Venus over Uranus. These are more about new beginnings and a new cycle starting, in this case for the year. And all in all, this nice aspect with Mars and Saturn giving us a bit of that, again, more action-oriented energy in a bit of a grounded and constructive way. But starting here with Monday, we do have the moon in Taurus, finishing Taurus on Monday. And so it's a great time, as it was over the weekend, to get more in touch with that more resourceful, grounded, and steady side of ourselves. So to take things slowly and steadily, one step at a time, maybe connect to nature or the natural world a little bit, maybe enjoy some of the natural resources of life, good meal, relaxation, things like this, all very good around Monday. That's probably going to be the main emphasis on Monday since we don't have any major aspects going exact around that day. Now, once we do get into Tuesday, the moon will go into Gemini and over that Mars, activating that Mars. So it's next couple days, Tuesday and Wednesday, probably a lot of themes around the practical sides of life, like thinking and learning and communication. And so great time for this, especially because, first of all, the moon emphasizes that it's good for this time of the lunar month to do that kind of stuff. But again, it is the action-oriented phase of the cycle, so it can be a bit challenging to integrate because the first quarter is the square between the very different energy of where the sun is, in this case in more watery, receptive, soul-guided Pisces, as we were talking about, which is very different from practical, inquisitive, mental Aries. So the challenge will be how to integrate these two very different energies. We might summarize them as the soul and the mind, or the spiritual and the practical elements of life, and anything that is intentionally integrating these two, again, can be a very constructive time of working with this phase of the lunar month. But there is a lot of support to do this because Mercury, the ruler of Gemini, who rules thinking and communication, is over benefic and expansive Jupiter. And so late Monday maybe, but mostly Tuesday, we'll have this larger perspective on life, as is typically the case here, maybe thinking a bit open-minded, seeing the bigger picture. It certainly favors more abstract and bigger picture views of things in life, but could certainly be a new beginning here. Sometimes conjunctions with Jupiters can be some new opportunities, at the very least new perspectives, but that those new perspectives can lead to opportunities, potentials, and new beginnings with matters of our minds, learning, and communication. So again, a great way of working with particularly Tuesday and Wednesday, I would say here, with that mental and communicative sphere of things. Okay, and then once we do get to the Thursday time, the moon will go into Cancer, and so the theme for particularly the second half of Thursday, but Friday as well, Thursday and Friday, a bit of creating that protective environment for ourselves and others. Usually a good time to connect to our feelings, our past, our more emotional side, our personal life, and home life as well. So good to access some of that caring, nurturing, and protective energy for ourselves and others here around Thursday and Friday. But the most important energy is that we have two very important aspects. In fact, one is that Mars, that planet of fire, is in good harmony with grounded Saturn. So all week, as you can see, we'll be within this 1 degree orb for pretty much the whole week. But apexing on Thursday is good to align that short-term fire with long-term stability. And so this can be a very constructive week for all things productive. So obviously, career and achievement and all that kind of thing, but even in personal life as well, just feeling a bit more responsible or willing to, take more time with things or approach things with more discipline. And so really good for anything like that. Again, aligning what we want, where we want to put energy, our goals, our actions towards things that are bigger picture. And anything like that really is a great week for this. But along with this, Venus will be over Uranus. So this is potentially shaking up of some new values and perhaps some new relationship energy as well. So a new beginning to our values and relationships in a yearly sense, in the context of individual freedom and change and spontaneity and excitement and listening more to our true self. Uranus is the gateway to our higher self, if you will, the part that is all about freedom and doing what excites us. And so anything that's more we can enjoy, that's more on that level. And anything that's more relationship oriented, that's more on that level, I think is again great on Thursday, but we're probably just noticing a new beginning. And with these things, and there quite literally can be new beginnings to our values and relationships in a way that is, again, different, unorthodox, outside of our comfort zone perhaps a little bit, but I think in a good way of bringing in some change into our lives. So Thursday has two very important aspects going exact in these areas. And then Friday, again, moon's still in Cancer, still feeling a lot of that Thursday energy. And then when we do get to the weekend, the moon will be in Leo with no major aspects. So that'll be placing more of the emphasis on the Leo energies. So Leo the Lion is all about expressing ourselves and doing what we love and what we're passionate about in life. And so good weekend for a bit of playfulness, fun, creative energy, connecting to the things and people that are close to our hearts, and just getting into some of that self-expression. So a bit of fire there. And then at this point, we're going to be noticing a lot more momentum in the lunar month coming out of more of the integrating energies of earlier in the week. And then as the week progresses, more into the wind in our sails as we approach what will be the full moon early next week. All right, everyone. So that is the week in a nutshell. Very kind of neutral, but leaning towards, I would say, well, more neutral in nature because, it is the first quarter moon. So it is good to integrate, challenge ourselves, particularly the first half. But we do have this support with Mars and Saturn giving us that constructive energy regarding our actions and goals and how we're asserting ourselves and things of that nature. But the energy does start to become definitely more on the easier side towards the later part as we do get to that gibbous phase of the lunar cycle, but very neutral in the sense too that we have a lot of these conjunctions which are really neutral and very much about new beginnings. And early in the week, very much about the mental, learning, curious, and also communicative things that are very supportive here, this early part. And then maybe some relationship stuff midweek or just enjoyments that are a bit different and a bit outside that comfort zone, but I think in a way that is a bit freeing and maybe exciting as well. All right, so everyone have a fantastic week. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to click the like button if you're watching this on YouTube. And if you're not yet signed up for MTZ Insiders, it is a free newsletter where you do get these videos released first before YouTube. There's a link to sign up down below for that if you haven't yet. But again, have a great week, and I'll see you all next time for the next astrology forecast. Take care.